I come with news from the Elysian Kingdom. I, Brian Richardson, am the appointed messenger. The Queen has issued this edict for the care of our honored guests. We care for the kingdom, so please remember to donate to the Open-Handed Lanta charity. Donate online. Use the magic scroll on your glowing rectangle. We wish for all of you to make inquiries. One question per subject. Could the microphone holder in the audience identify? You'll know what that outfit looks like. I would prefer one question per subject. I serve the Queen as moderator. We'll interrogate, make elaborations as required. Please do not ask for hugs, selfies, or autographs during the session. Our guests are available afterwards in the Walk of Fame, and they have their rules for mutually agreed boundaries and clear consent. We know of your love for the visitors. You stood in the line of infinite humidity. Finally, bring forth your questions, not your comments. You shall bring the game of Q. They shall bring the game of A. Are we ready, subjects of the kingdom? Our first visitor, Lady Audrey, dreams of being a nurse who travels the stars. In the realm of DragonCon, she is known as Jess Buch. Next, we summon a mighty wizard who channels the power of science. In the realm, he is Pollux. In our world, he is Ethan Peck. And finally, we are blessed by the presence of Sir Admin Rolf, the Chamberlain of the Court. One can only hope the stylist does something about his hair. Greet the Captain of the Hour, Anson Mount.
It's a lovely introduction, Your Grace.
Well, I think so. My C in English is finally paying off. So, welcome back, Anson. Ethan, we were on this very stage, I believe, 3 years ago, talking about how those short treks were kind of cool, and maybe we should make a show out of them or something. How'd that work out?
Yeah, we hope they make a show.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off of it. Anyway, it goes back a while. But welcome back, Jess. First DragonCon.
Thank you, yes. I'm having an absolute ball. I think the DragonCon is so special, and I would be here if I wasn't working for sure. I just opened my eyes to a whole world of celebration and acceptance, and what I notice the most is that people are having a really good time and letting their hair down, but it feels safe all the time. You always feel safe, and I think that's a testament to how you guys look after each other, you know? There's a lot of love.
You know, the volunteers are a really big part of that and making it run, because it's fan love goes all the way through the organization. So I'm glad that you were seeing that love here on the stage and actually out in the crowds. Anson, last time we talked, you were about a season or two into The Well. You and I were talking backstage about how you're getting into like looking at movies now, and you're reviewing the Bollywood sensation RRR. Slightly different genre than science fiction in the United States, isn't it?
Oh, not so much, not so much. Yeah, so if you haven't checked out my podcast, what are you thinking? Come on, get with it. Yeah, no, I have a podcast called The Well, and it's about creative energy, you know, finding your juice. But also we do a segment called The Drop, where we just sort of talk about what we've been witnessing in pop culture and books and movies, and my partner just published yesterday. We dedicated an entire episode to the majesty known as Earth. How many people have seen RR?
Ah, nice.
Get with it, guys. It's a small number.
Get with it. It's on Netflix, and it is the most expensive Bollywood movie ever made, and you can see every penny.
Speaking of The Drop, for my guests, in case we have a mic drop moment, because these are expensive, a friend of mine, I complained about the fact that mic drops are damaging audio equipment, and she made me a plushy Shure microphone. Choice. She's a costumer here at DragonCon. And so if we had a mic drop moment, feel free to take this so that we can demonstrate the power of not damaging the volunteers of audio equipment. Do we have questions lined up? Where did my mic runner go? All right, so locate our bold captain. And if you are in disability services, we do have some accommodations for questions. Some of you may have submitted them earlier on, and there may be some opportunities to move the mic around if needed, but it looks like this intrepid hero is moving to the back. Why don't we take our first audible question, then we'll read some of the ones submitted earlier.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, it's the mic player.
So my question is, how did you feel when you learned about what roles you got?
How did you feel about the roles that you got when you learned that the show was being made?
That's a great question. Thank you. Who wants to start?
It was. I didn't realize the character I was auditioning for. It was the made-up name, and then so when they called me and said you got the part, and it's for Captain Pike, I was overjoyed and then scared to death.
Yeah, I was reading for Tom the Andorian. I can't say the code name still because I think they still use it. But we knew it was Star Trek, and I found out right before my final audition. And when I found out, I was around the corner from my apartment, and I sat down and I cried because I was so excited and so overwhelmed and so terrified. And it was an amazing day and moment. I'll never forget it. I got a text message that said, "Welcome aboard, Mr. Spock," and that was how I felt.
Have that printed somewhere.
I lost the text message. It's gone forever.
Disgraceful. I mean, I have a similar story. All of my auditions were done remotely. I was in Australia, and I didn't meet anyone in person until I was on set, basically. But I was auditioning for the role of Miller, who was a sassy sickbay attendee. And the whole audition process was so mysterious and locked down. You know, it was like, you can download these scenes for 24 hours only, and then they'll say self-detonate. And if you print them, we'll know, and they'll self-detonate. And if you look at them the wrong way, they'll self-detonate. But I didn't learn that I was going to play Chapel until I got the contract, and it had a different name on the top. I was like, hang on a second, they sent me the wrong contract? And then I, kind of did my research, and then, kind of worked out who I was going to be playing. And it was just overwhelming, exciting, a whole new world, a strange one.
Hey, congratulations.
And I just want to note that the person who asked the question, you're a tiny demigorgon, correct? Yes, I can see the nodding of the weird mouth on the front. That is awesome that even under the stage lights I can make that out from this distance. That's a great cosplay.
Yeah, I saw you in the Hall of Fame the other day, and I was very impressed.
All right, thank you. All right, did we get any pre-submitted questions to read? Yeah, let's go ahead and take the first one of those.
All right, from Laura out in the Trek universe. Since you film in Toronto, how did you survive your first Canadian winter?
How did you survive the first Canadian winter since you filmed in Toronto?
My birthday is March 2nd, which is spring. Right?
Not Toronto.
Not Toronto. It was negative 20, and I was sitting outside, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's crazy. So, we did it. I'm cold-blooded. I have family from Finland, so I'm kind of okay with the cold.
Well, I'm from Australia, so it was a brutal assault. It was actually kind of a novelty to me, actually. The snow was new, so I was one of those, annoying tourists who was like, oh, this is so cute. Oh my God, a squirrel. Oh my God. Oh. I was like, oh, there's garbage under this pile of snow. That's so cute. Yeah, I mean, the first one was a novelty. The second winter was longer, more brutal. Yeah, so the first one was fun for me.
Well, I live in Connecticut, so it was less snow for me.
This is Tuesday.
And you worked in Calgary.
Yes, and I worked, but we would shoot from spring through summer. Oh, hell, thank God. Although I did
Summer, so that's what, like 3 weeks up there?
I did have to go in for a winter shoot one time for the beginning of season 3, and it was astounding. Like, I mean, it was feet and feet of snow. It was crazy.
Well, I mean, that saves a lot of money in production because the ice planet you used was probably just right outside, right? You just went outside the studio.
Right.
So much cheaper. All right, where's our next question coming from?
Yes, this is for Mr. Peck. In the episode where you have a dream sequence where your Vulcan and human selves fight each other, well, what was the preparation for that? Like, I imagine the makeup was extra long and you had to act 3 different ways. How long did that take to do? What was it like?
Now you're speaking specifically of the like hyper Vulcan Spock versus human Spock?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the last things that I filmed for that season. And I had learned the choreography like 3 or 4 days beforehand. We shot it all in one day. There were 2 stunt doubles. One dressed as human Spock, one dressed as hyper Vulcan Spock. And I did the first half of the day as human Spock, and then they turned me over at lunch. That's the term we use to say you changed costume and makeup into Vulcan Spock, and did the other side of the combat and the performances. So it was an amazing day, and we actually filmed it all in the AR wall, which is this amazing space that is floor to ceiling computer screens, and they build worlds that we get to play in and act in. And it was a very dusty day, I remember, because there was a bunch of Vulcan dirt everywhere. But it was an amazing day to end on. Yeah.
All right, where's our next question coming from?
Hi everybody, my name's Matt. First off, thanks for coming, appreciate you.
Thank you for coming.
I come every year, it's awesome. We'll see you guys next year.
Absolutely.
My question is for everybody. What was it like working with the force of nature that is Jonathan Frakes?
Look, nobody watches this thing. Go ahead.
We won't tell anybody. We don't have any internet or anything.
All the cell phones have just come out.
I love to poke fun at Jonathan because he has just an extraordinary sense of humor, and he can take it to that point. I had found on YouTube, you can go look it up, somebody, I don't know who, had gotten their hands on his screen test for Welcome Back, Kotter, circa 1975. And it is a rail-thin, very good-looking Jonathan Frakes with feathered hair and bell-bottom jeans, auditioning for I don't know what role because he had the worst Southern accent I've ever heard. And I coordinated with our audio-visual people, our effects team that handled the screens. So the next time we had a command meeting in the ready room, I had them throw this thing. But they also said like special message coming in from Starfleet Command, and then we played the entire screen test. And I felt a little bad about it later because he came up to me and said, "That was so sweet what you did." I thought he was gonna be like, "You bummer." But no, he's just such a sweet guy, incredible energy. He does not go to lunch because he meditates. He brings so much joy to the set, and he loves being on the set. Sometimes he can't get him off the friggin' set because he's an actor. But yeah, I love working with Jonathan, and can't wait for you to see the episode that he directed. We're very excited about it.
He's a total ray of sunshine, that man. Total ray of sunshine.
Yeah, his presence is incredible, and it actually made me want to go back and start watching a lot more TNG. So after working with him, I was like watching like every night TNG. It was great.
Thank you.
All right, did we have another pre-submitted question? No? All right, let's go to our next one.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming. I just wanted to know the episode that you did that was based off of a fairy tale. How was that putting on the different costumes instead of the uniforms?
It was a blast.
Yeah.
Like they wrote all those roles to make us be as opposite as possible from our regular characters, and that it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Mine was just, I just recycled a Polonius that I played in graduate school.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was very hot for me because I had to wear many layers and robes and long hair. And it was actually, I found it to be kind of difficult to let go of. To let go of my Spock mannerisms because I've been playing that role on set so long, and then to be there and be breaking outside of that felt totally wrong. And so it took me a few takes to adjust to it, but it was a total blast in the end.
Yeah. Sorry, you go. I was going to say, like, the folks who work in costuming, like, they were having it was just the best time for them, and they were having the best time, so it was really cool to kind of just jump on that train with them and be like, oh, what are we going to do? You know, like, it was a really exciting challenge.
What was really amazing was to see the sets be totally turned into other worlds. They're like unrecognizable. They did such an incredible job at those sets for that episode.
Yeah,
Do you remember trying to climb up the Jeffries tube?
Oh my god.
So there was a scene that ended up being cut, and I knew it was going to be cut. Remember when I was complaining about it the whole time we were shooting it? I was like, so
I have ropes to my toes, and I'm supposed to be climbing a ladder. And it's a
staff, right? And somehow he's supposed to get up the freaking dress.
I thought I was gonna break my teeth on the ladder.
He was so angry. He was so mad about it. And I kept being like, I love that we're shooting this thing that's going to be cut later. Because this is taking 15 minutes for all four of us to get up the Jeffries tube for no reason. Really, there's going to be like a quarter of our episode is going to be us climbing a Jeffries tube to get to the next scene. Like,
Babs had to like go backwards and like throw clothing, and so it was very awkward for all of us.
I'm just wondering, since you're a prequel, if there will be like some scene where you're gonna find like Jeffries, like I think Jeffries team's out of, and there's just gonna be like a team of security people beating the snot out of it. It's a spaceship, couldn't you make it like a foot taller?
That's a great idea.
But that may end up going into crossover with Lower Decks. It feels like Lower Decks gag if I think about it.
That's a good idea.
Are you preparing to increase the size of your eyeballs for the crossover? Like, is there eye exercise you do, like an anime sort of thing?
that would be.
Really big context. All right, we got another question from the audience.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you guys for being here. I was lucky enough to go to Mission Chicago and saw the pre-release footage, and I'm happy the show turned out to be so great. I have a question for Jess.
Yeah.
Do you think that Nurse Chapel's hair is naturally that color, or does she dye it to match her uniform?
Ooh. It's definitely not natural. That's a box star for sure. Yeah.
Does it get done like they do in the Jetsons? Like, do you wake up, is it a machine?
Yeah, I just dunk. I just like walk through a tunnel. It has some curtains, like on the way to the sick bay. It just like brushes through my hair and does my roots for me.
I like that.
Styling tips from the future. All right, we have another question lined up.
Once again, thank you for coming. This question is for Jess, but if Ethan and Anson wants to also put in this, that's fine. With your character, you've been shown with that your relationships are all very single or non-long-term lasting. But one of the original episodes, your character had a fiance that disappeared, Brian Richardson. Is there going to be any sort of mention of this, or maybe you can't tell us?
Well, I mean, it's written in stone that happens for me, you know, so it has to come up at some point. I think that we're just with Chapel at an earlier time of her life where she's not ready to settle down or has something standing in the way of that, personally. So yeah, I don't know, does that answer your question?
Just wondering if something... sorry. Maybe something that season 2 or...
Oh, I can't, I'm not allowed to say or I'll be sniped.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
Yeah.
But it happens, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Something to look forward to.
Hi. My question's for all of you. What's the most memorable audition you ever went on, good or bad?
Most memorable audition you've been on, good or bad?
I have to think.
I did an audition for a KFC commercial maybe 10 years ago now, and in the audition room for TVCs you have I had just stacks of white bread, just dry white bread that you had to and I had to do it I had to bite into it really sensually. So it's just me in front of a blue screen with 2 other people in the room watching me. They're like, can you just do it a little bit slower and just really enjoy that first bite. Just white bread, dry white bread. Yeah, maybe it's an interesting point in my life.
That is extremely specific stage direction, and that's all I want to say about that.
I booked the job.
I mean, I've had a lot of bad ones, and some good ones, I guess. But some memorable ones. I was of a smaller few to be considered for Captain America many years ago, which stands out. And also, I came pretty close to the role of the Deep in The Boys. I don't know how to say this stuff, so don't tell me what I got.
Outside of this 1,500 people.
Yes. And then I have a recurring dream. This is the worst audition, where I am reading for Spielberg. It's happened a couple times, or someone of that caliber. And I'm at the callback, and I'm ready to go. I've signed in, and I'm one person away from being called in, and I'm I don't know my lines. And that's a true terror for me.
Well, I was shooting City by the Sea in New York, and when I had met the producers for Crossroads, and so I'm on the set up in Yonkers. We're at the police station in Yonkers, and my reps called and said, Britney Spears is leaving town at 5 o'clock. She wants to meet you. I'm okay. I'm working with Robert De Niro. I'm not sure what you want me to do. And they kept calling. I finally just turned off my phone. I said, I got a job to do. So then I get the second AD comes up to me and says, hey, at lunch we got you. We're putting you into a larger trailer because you're gonna have guests for lunch. I was okay. So lunch happened. She comes up with her assistant, her bodyguard, Big Rob, and she's very shy, right? And we're talking. I was okay, I'll talk. And ended up talking more with her assistant. It was just lovely, and ended up somehow telling this funny story about how a friend had asked me to take a picture with his 16-year-old niece was a fan, and when the girl came over to have a picture taken with me, unbeknownst to the family, she put her hand on my posterior. And so the picture ended up coming out of her smiling and me being and wasn't listening or she didn't get it, but she kind of like really stopped talking, and I was like, oh, shoot, okay, guess I'm not getting this job. Because I offended her or something, I don't know. And they left, and then so I go back up to shoot, to start shooting again, and I'm in the second floor, and for some reason I'm like the first person to arrive on set. And I'm just sort of thinking about the conversation that happened. And then suddenly two people lean up against the wall next to me, and it's Robert De Niro and George DeZanza. And they're both going, so, you had a guest in your trailer? I was like, no, it was just a meeting. And they were like, oh, strike out. So, man, okay.
Yeah, it's
Been living it down ever since.
all right. Who's following that one with a question?
So this one is for Mr. Mount, though either of you could chime in if you wanted to. I was wondering how much do you, since you've got less material in the past to work with, how much do you reference Jeffrey Hunter and, Bruce Greenwood when you're trying to craft your Pike, and just how do you integrate the old material into your portrayal?
I don't. I do my homework, but this is a Pike in a completely different part of his life. And I think I talked about this yesterday, that Pike, Jeffrey Hunter's Pike, and he did it beautifully. That's a much younger, a little bit self-centered, dour Pike. And the writers really wanted to leave that part of his life behind and move on to where it's a more established captain. And I'm a huge Bruce Greenwood fan, actually. Different universe, but what was the movie, The Post? You see The Post, and he played, was it Bob McNamara, the former Secretary of Defense. He's a tremendous actor. I've always wanted to meet him. So yeah, sorry, no, not at all, but I love those actors.
I mean, you're kind of the only person out of, except for new characters they created for the show, like in Benga and those sort. You're the only really person who came in with an established character, but a blank slate. I'm sorry.
So what?
But a blank slate. Thank you. Hoisted by my own plushy microphone. I mean, you've got the establishment, but Spock has Spock, right? You've got that range where you have this appearance, but you have the ability to grow that character out.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is a bit of a challenge when you're playing a character whose third act has been revealed already.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you turn that into an arc? Is a really interesting question that I've never. Thank God I wasn't the one who had to figure it out.
Yeah.
We have this young whippersnapper not many people have heard of called Keith Goldsman, who is tasked with those things, and Henry Miller is just an incredible writer in his own right and funny as hell. So yeah, that's been really a joy, is getting to figure out the rest of Pike, and I hope to be able to take it back to the third act at some point.
Yeah, but Ethan, Jess, you have the same challenge at a kind of different level. There's more material to draw from, but you can't break the continuity at this point, right? You don't have the parallel universe to play with. So how have you worked in kind of the same challenge?
Yeah.
I think my position's more similar to Anson's than Ethan's. Major's performance was probably a little bigger than what Anson had to work with, but there was also so much room to move and so much that she was so limited in what she was given, as a character. And my understanding is that Major was pretty ticked off about that herself. She wanted to do more. So I had the essence of a character to work with, and then Akiva and Henry have really trusted me to flesh that out. And they had some ideas, of course, but it was very much like they just had suggestions and then left it in my hands to germinate those suggestions into a real living, curious being, which is such a gift. It's been great.
Ethan, you've got, again, we talked about this I think a couple years ago, that you had the kind of wild Spock to play in Discovery, and now you're kind of honing in on getting to, we saw that with the last episode, right? You played the Spock of the future. You had to kind of like flash forward your character to get that more dialed in version without the growth within the show. So how did you arrive at that point maybe a little faster than the rest of the cast did?
I have no idea. Maybe, the writers do so much for us. And I think as an actor, truthfully, from the beginning, I was trying to do my best Spock. And a dialogue really dictates a lot of your performance, and the tone of it and situation can determine behavior and different characters you're interacting with. And so I think as I mature and as an actor, it'll take me closer to Nimoy's Spock that we see in the original series. That's kind of the best way I can answer that. Yeah.
All right, another one from the crowd, please.
Anson. I found this to be the most asked question at DragonCon. I feel compelled to ask, what hair product do you use?
I should start my own line.
I buy it.
Actually, personally, not much. That's why my hair is shorter. I hate dealing with my hair. The hair and makeup team, they, I don't even remember. I just know it involves a lot of hairspray. Several times a day.
Is there like a period where you have to grow out the material they need to work with? Like there's a point before shooting where it's T- Pike.
There's the same for Brian with the beard, you have to be mindful of how long it's going to take. And then you look like a shaggy dog when you go up to get ready in pre-production and then make you look better. Yeah.
All right, where are we at? Here we go. Next question, please.
Hi, thanks for coming. My question is, have you guys taken anything off the set that you weren't supposed to?
I'm terrible at that. It never occurs to me to steal.
You said yesterday that you love stealing. Verbatim, I love stealing.
No, I don't think, not yet. But I'll go through the proper channels when it's time.
Yeah, I haven't stolen anything. I've asked for them.
I have. Absolutely, and I'll never say what it is.
Would you still just tell me?
tricorder work?
Well, they still have their job, so we have another season to look forward to. All right, our next question, please.
All right, good afternoon, and again, thank you for being here. One of the things that's made Strange New Worlds so amazing watching week after week is to see people model what decency looks like. Especially in a moment where it seems that the baseline has gotten a little hazy on that front. But what I love is that you do it in such a way that it doesn't seem heavy-handed or self-righteous. That it's genuine and visceral. And how does that inform your performance?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think a lot of that is credited to the writers. We're given such great material to work with on that front. And I think, I don't know, I just feel really deeply honored to be able to lend my artistic energies to bringing those words to life. It encourages us to be better people. It encourages us to tap into the best parts of ourselves. And yeah, I feel really privileged as an artist to contribute to that in a time like this especially. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one has to have integrity to be a part of Starfleet.
Amen.
And I think that's why we're all here, because we all aspire to that, to treat each other with respect and with dignity, and to be accepting and warm and welcoming, and pull ourselves into the future. And as an actor, I couldn't be more proud to be representing that. It's really a dream to be doing what I love and to be having what I hope is a positive impact on the people who see it.
All of that, and it's not that difficult to do when you like the people you work with.
All right, we have another question lined up.
This question is inspired by Pike, but directed to all of you. I love Pike big dad energy on the show. So, do you have a favorite dad joke, and what is it?
I really should start collecting them, shouldn't I? Because I have a 9-month-old daughter, and I'm going to need them. So. Okay, so there's a cop, traffic cop, sees a guy driving a little funny. He's driving big, like 76 Plymouth Malibu, like boating car. And he decides, I'm going to pull him over, see what's going on with the guy. Pulls him over and he says, pump the trunk. The guy pumps the trunk. Cop goes back there, opens up the trunk, and there's 6 penguins in the trunk of the car. And he says to the guy, he says, what are you doing? I want you to take these penguins to the zoo immediately. The guy says, yes, officer. He lets him go. But the next day, same cop sees the same guy driving the same car, and he's like, I'm gonna stop this guy, see what he did about those penguins. Pulls him over, says, pump the trunk. Guy pumps the trunk. Cop goes back there. Guy's still got the 6 penguins in the trunk of his car, but now they're all wearing sunglasses. He says, what are you doing? I thought I told you to take these penguins to the zoo. The guy says, I did. Today we're going to the beach. I love that. I can't even tell you why that joke's funny.
Don't look at me, I put all my dad jokes in the DragonCon TV stuff. They've been documented on the internet.
I've got one. I don't know if it's a dad joke, I just really like it. What's brown and sticky? Yeah, some of you might know. A stick.
Yeah, let's not send this into dad joke to the next generation. Let's go quickly to the next question.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
My question is mostly for Anson, but obviously y'all feel free to chime in. Anson, I know you started your career on the stage. Is there a particular role that you've always wanted to play that you haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah. I mean, it was, everybody, at some point in their life, it wants to do Hamlet. I'm not so much, it's a bear of a play. There are some roles that are behind me now. I'm too old for some of them ones that I wanted to work on. I think it would be a really good time for me to play Astroff in Uncle Vanya. That would be, if I had one choice, it might be that, or no, actually, there's a Jacobean play called The Changeling by Thomas Middleton, and the role of DeFlores in there is, sorry, theater nerdy there.
Oh no, theater nerds at DragonCon.
I think you would make an amazing Macduff. Just saying.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I never thought about that. I played Malcolm one time.
I played Malcolm too.
Compare notes later.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, oh no. Anson, be careful. Our next question is coming from Scarlet Witch.
So, I grew up on what people would consider nerdy content like Star Wars and Harry Potter, but I never had my family introduce me to Star Trek. So for people who are older or younger, who've never seen Star Trek, as people who are inheriting these roles, how would you describe Star Trek, and how would you say, get into Star Trek? You've never seen it before, this is a great area of media to get into.
Well, my mother introduced me to it, and she said, I said, what's it about? She said, it's about a bunch of people that they live on a spaceship and they go around the galaxy to different planets, finding all the different alien cultures that live there. And I said, that sounds like a terrible idea. So I don't know. I don't know. How would you?
It's really hard.
Tough question.
Yeah, so.
Please convince me to watch your show.
Join us.
I mean, I think Gene Roddenberry had trouble with that elevator pitch, right? Because the pilot didn't get picked up, you know? So it's definitely a difficult question to answer.
Yeah. I think we're starting almost the modern question that people have now with Star Wars. Is like if you were to show Star Wars to your kids, for instance. Or as I, the weird uncle, inflicted on my nieces. What do you give them the sequential order of timeline, or do you give it the order of release? And yes, an internet forum conversation is about to break out here. Keep it on the Discord. But since you are the prequel, you're going farther back in the timeline. Do you say, well, from a timeline standpoint, start here, or do you go back kind of like the inspirations, like how you have done it to research your roles? Or is it just drop in at your favorite point and let nerddom happen?
I think it could be really any point.
Maybe the more accurate question is, what is your favorite thing about Star Trek that would convince me to watch it?
Okay, so look, it's like anybody who's ever looked up at a starry sky, like an incredibly starry sky, where you can pick out the Milky Way, and wondered what's up there, and also marveled at the fact that our species can say, hey, we're going to take several $1 trillion and we're going to build a rocket and strap it to somebody's butt, and we're going to shoot them up there so we can just see what's around, and everybody goes, yeah, that's a good idea, let's do that. That's what we need to be investing in. It's so strange when you step back and look at it, but there is something about us that needs to reach out, that needs to turn around from the campfire light where the stories are traditionally told in our tribe and walk out into the darkness to see what's out there, and then return to another story or create a story out of what you found out there. Star Trek taps into that thing in us perfectly, I think.
Actually let you use your mouth this time. Turned out a lot better. All right, let's take our next question.
So I think with this recent reboot, or with a lot of the recent Trek reboots, there's been a shift to a lot of sort of high stakes, high drama, serialized content. And I think your show represents kind of a shift back to the original style, where there are a lot of kind of but just kind of for entertainment value. So my question for you all is, which do you enjoy shooting more? Do you enjoy sort of the higher stakes dramatic episodes, or do you enjoy kind of the fun body swap type episodes?
So you're basically asking if they like hijinks.
Exactly.
I love hijinks. I mean, I think I love the fact that we get to switch between them all. I think that's for a performer, it's a dream. You know, it's like the buffet of work. Like 1 week you're doing horror, 2 weeks later you're doing drama, 2 weeks later you're doing comedy. It's like a boot camp in the playground. It's awesome.
I myself prefer hijinks. It's especially fun for me because Spock is who he is. And when they throw him into crazy, wild situations and scenarios where the audience is kind of like, oh no, what's he gonna do or what's gonna happen? Those become really amazing acting challenges for me and experiences for me. So I prefer those, I think.
Yeah, I'm similar to Jess in that I really like changing it up and being thrown off every episode and almost having to figure out how to do the show each episode I love that. It keeps it interesting, certainly. But I also, what I do like about our show is I think we have from the writers to the directors to the actors to the entire crew, I think we have a collective, very good sense of you can't be too deliberate with this stuff. You know, you got to know when to play the front foot and you got to know when to play the back foot. And I think we've been having a lot of fun shifting to the back foot every now and then.
Cool. Thank you. And this is going to be our last question for the panel. I know.
Oh.
All right, so I'm Gabe Pye. I got a question that's kind of interesting. So there's a lot of aliens in Star Trek. It's very fleshed out over time that they've evolved all of them, given a lot of unique aspects to them. So I want to know, what are each of your favorite species, non-human, that you find interesting and why?
I have to think. What's the question? Which
favorite non-human species in Trek?
Vulcans.
Ethan's got a much harder
I
answer.
don't know about I was really hoping for, and I think I may have pushed a little bit for an Andorian character, right? And I think I would really also like to have at some point an equally deep, interesting Tellurite character. Just because that's been underserved a bit, I think.
I thought you were going to say Vulcan.
I mean, that's.
Should I not have asked this question?
It's like, who's your best quarterback other than Tom Brady?
Saved it. I mean, just from what we've done on set, I feel like it's been so exciting to explore the Gorn in a modern day sense, and the way that they've brought that species to life in such a terrifying way. It's been really cool to watch. There's so much pressure on the art department to make that what they did. Yeah, so that's my answer, everyone.
I think humans are cool.
And you humans have been wonderful for this panel. Thank you very much. Our guests will be available for Walk of Fame later on. Please, Dragon Con, y'all give it up for Jess, Buch, Ethan, Peck, and Anson. Thank you all. Please exit through the rear of the spaceship and have a wonderful convention.
Thank you all so much.
So I'll have to know. You may not be able to.
I'll ask.